On today's Fujifilm Flash Photography Basics, I am going to teach you the single most significant step that you can take when shooting with a flash. Well, hi everyone, welcome to Pal to Tech. Today we are continuing our flash basics for Fujifilm cameras with lesson 3. And as always, we are picking up right where we left off with lesson 2. Now, by now you should have completed your homework assignment from lesson 2. At this point, you should be comfortable in shooting with a flash in manual mode and understanding how your shutter speed, aperture, and ISO, and how shutter speed can affect the overall ambiance and look of your scene. Now, if you have not yet practiced this, please go back and review lesson number 2. Do that assignment, and once you have, you can come back here and continue with lesson 3. For today's lesson, we are going to focus on the single most significant step that you can take in flash photography. I am, of course, talking about getting the flash off the camera. Seriously, if you learn just one single thing from this video, in almost every case, your photos will be so much better, more professional, and more flexible if you get the flash off the hot shoe mount and, away from its being sort of the default sitting on top of the camera and blasting into the subject. People who shoot flash photographs where they have the flash right on top of the camera, it's like having one of those flash bars, okay? I want you to think of this image. We're not going to be shooting with a flash bar or any kind of flash right on the camera. We're not press, and we're not going to do it that way. So, in all seriousness, how do we get the flash off the camera? Well, there's a few ways that you can do it. The first is that if you are connecting the flash to the camera via the sync terminal right here. We're not going to cover using the sync terminal in this video. The second way would be to use a power cord that connects your flash to the camera's hot shoe mount. And now you can kind of get it off the camera, but it is limited as far as your arm can reach. And finally, we come to the subject of today's video, which is using a remote flash trigger. And this is how we're going to get our flash off of the camera. Now, in order to make this work, it does require you, obviously, to get another piece of gear, the remote flash trigger. In previous videos, I have recommended using the Godox TT685 flash, or even you could use the Godox TT350 flash. And if you're currently using the Godox system, then I would definitely recommend picking up the Godox X2T wireless flash trigger. If you are shooting with Fujifilm cameras, you are going to want to get the model that has the little F in it right here. You see that? We are not going to worry about any other kind of gear right now for this video. There will be additional gear you're going to want to consider, such as a stand, right? Or another way to hold your flash that you've removed from the camera. But not today. Today, it is far more important that you fully understand how to use a wireless trigger and to get that flash off your camera. Even if you put your flash on a bookshelf or on the dining room table, that's good enough for now. So for today's lesson, you're going to need the flash and a wireless trigger, which you could use the X2T, which is what I recommend, or you could get the Godox X Pro F as well. Now, before I go any further, if there are some of you that have been frustrated in the past to try to get these wireless triggers working, you are not alone. I must say that the usability, design of the controls and menus, and the setup is one of the most confusing and poorly implemented UI designs that I have ever seen in the past 40 years. Godox, I really hope you're listening, because these things are so much more difficult to use than they need to be. And not only that, but the instructions and the documentation are very limited. We are going to go very slowly. I'm going to break it down, and we're going to try and make it as easy as possible, and by the end of this video, you should be good to go. So, be patient as we go through this. I'll be using the X2T unit, but almost all of the same settings apply to the X Pro F as well. Wireless triggers have pretty much the same basic components. So let's turn it on. And of course, even turning it on is confusing. There's a power on and off switch here, and if you brought your electron microscope with you, you may be able to see that there is a slightly different icon for this switch right near it. This switch turns it on, and this switch controls the autofocus assist beam. same. Let's now take a look at the unit. On one side, you've got a USB-C port and a 3.5mm sync port. The USB-C port is used for updating the firmware, and that's a whole other video we'll cover eventually. On the top, you've got 5 groups of buttons, A through E, you see that? And a button to test and fire your flash. On the front, you've got 3 main buttons, and they also serve a dual purpose as well. On the bottom, you've got your battery storage, a hot shoe mount, and a selector button for when you're inside the menus. Now, what's great about the X2T, and why I actually now prefer it over the X Pro F, is that you can mount a flash to the top of it, and then you mount this to your camera. So you mount the trigger to the camera, and you mount the flash to the trigger. Now this setup might seem a little odd, but it actually gives you a little bit of flexibility. You can have the flash on your camera, right, if you wanted to, and you could bounce it off the ceiling, while at the same time, you can control other flash units that are away from the camera that you're wirelessly controlling, and you could turn those on or turn those off. If you wanted to turn them off and only use the flash that's on your camera, easy to do. But we're not gonna do that because the goal is to get the flash away from the camera. Now, before we continue with this video, I have a setting change that I think is going to help you out while you're going through and practicing, okay? This setting will allow you to work with this wireless trigger without it constantly going into standby mode. Go ahead and press the menu button and use the scroll wheel to scroll down to where it says standby. Currently, it's at 60 seconds. Go ahead and press the set button and then rotate the wheel again. And you can set it to 30 minutes, press set, and then you can press menu to go back. Now this will stay on for 30 minutes while we do our exercises. But once you've learned this thing, I recommend going back into the menu and setting it so that it turns off after 60 seconds. You'll save your battery life. Okay, we are now ready to connect the two of these together. And the first thing that you need to do is to tell your wireless trigger where and how to find and locate the flash. Basically, this needs to talk to this. And you do that by making sure that 3 things match up: your group letter, your channel number, and your wireless ID number. The first thing we're going to do is set our channel. Now, you may not be the only photographer on the block, or in the room, or in the apartment building where you're living, or wherever you are. So in order to make sure you're using the best channel, you need to conduct a scan. Go ahead into Menu, use the selector wheel to find Scan. Go ahead and press Set, use the selector wheel again to turn it and choose Start. Go ahead and press set again. It is now scanning the area for other Godox wireless triggers and interference and whatever it needs to look for, and it's going to come back to us with a list of channels. And there you go, with a thumbs up sign. These channels right here are all good and you can use any of them. So now that you're already in your menu, use the selector wheel and scroll down to Channel, press Set, use the selector wheel again, and choose 19. Go ahead and press Set again to save it. And we've just set the channel to 19. Next, we're going to need to set our group. Remember, there's A through E on the top here. We're not going to get too much into groups, but just know that groups can be groups of various flash units, okay? But right now, we're just going to work with one group, and we're going to choose Group A. So go ahead and press the A button. Boom. Once you've done that, it will highlight the group. You see that? And you could, if you wanted to see the other groups, rotate the selector wheel down. There's D and E. You see that? So right now we are Channel 19, Group A. Now go ahead and press Mode. Press it again until it says M for Manual. Remember, we're doing all manual flash. If you don't know about that, go back and watch Lesson 2. So you should see something like this. Group A is set to Manual, and we are on channel 19. And finally, we need to set the wireless ID number on this unit. Now, you don't always have to do that. However, I gotta tell you, I have noticed connection problems between this and the flash if you don't set this. So I'm gonna have you set it, all right? You're gonna pick one. Here's how you do it. Go back into your menu by pressing the menu button and use the selector wheel to select ID. Go ahead and press Set, turn the selector button, and you can pick any number you want. It doesn't matter which one you pick, but just remember the one you picked. You can choose anything from 1 to 99. I'm gonna go ahead and choose 99. When you're done, press Set to save your changes. Okay, we're all done. We have our channel, we have our group, and we have our wireless ID set. Now, we got to do the same thing to the flash. Go ahead and turn on the flash unit. Once you've done that, you're going to press and hold down this button right here. Press it and hold it down. And you'll see this really confusing menu appear. Once you do, rotate the scroll wheel and scroll down until you see ID. You see that right there? Then press the set button. Remember, we had set the wireless ID on this to 99. We're gonna do the same thing to this. Once you've set it to 99, go ahead and press the back button here. The next thing we're gonna do is put the flash unit into what is called slave mode before we set the channel and the group. To do that, you wanna press this button right here that has this weird little Z-looking icon on it. Go ahead and press it. And what it does is it toggles through various setups. We're gonna pick the one called slave. So keep pressing the button until you see a setup that says slave. You see that? Now we're gonna set the channel. And to do that, you press this button right here. And you see it even has a CH above it to mean channel. Go ahead and press it. And it selects the channel. Then you can use the little rotating ring to dial in the channel that you want. And we had chosen channel 19 from this one. So we need to put in 19 here. And lastly, we need to set the group. And just as we had set group A for this, we're gonna set group A here. And you see the little GR that's just above this button here. Go ahead and press that button. And as you press the button, it rotates through the various groups, A, B, and C, and so forth. Make sure that you choose A. And just to confirm, you're on channel 19, group A. And finally, we want to make sure that this mode uses manual mode for the flash. To do that, you need to use this button right here, the mode button. And as you press the mode button, it will toggle through the various mode settings right here. Right now it says TTL. We want to change that. I'm going to go ahead and press the mode button once. There it is. Now it says multi. I'm going to press it again. If you don't see M, continue to press the mode button until you cycle through and you see M. So at last, you should be M in slave mode on channel 19 in group A, and you've set and made sure that your wireless ID matches between these two. Ugh, I'm exhausted already. Let's see if this was all worth it or not. I'm going to go ahead and put the wireless flash trigger on the camera. Now, something to keep in mind, you can also see what is going on with your flash if you go into your Fujifilm's camera menu into the flash section. Okay, moment of truth with this. Here we go. Hey, it worked! It fired it off. That's great! We know that this remote trigger will remotely trigger this flash. And you can then move this anywhere you want as long as you're within range. Not bad at all. Now, something to keep in mind here, and that is you are now fully controlling and using the wireless trigger to make all of your setting changes for the flash. I mean, pretend you're in a banquet room somewhere photographing a wedding. This flash may be on the other side of the room. You need to be able to make the setting changes to this flash right from this unit that's on top of your camera. So the most important setting you're going to want to make from the flash trigger itself is the flash power. Remember in my lesson 2, I went over flash power and what that can do and how that affects your photos. Watch what happens when I rotate the selector knob and change the power of the flash. You see how as I rotate the knob on the flash trigger, the power on the flash also changes. Now, if you are having trouble getting these two to connect and to talk to each other, there's one final setting I have for you that may help. Press the menu button to go into the menu of your wireless trigger. Rotate the selector knob until you choose DIST, or distance. And it should be set the default of 1 to 100 meters. Now, while I have found that it seems to generally work okay, if I set it to the other one, which is 0 to 30 meters, the flash and the wireless trigger seem to have a more reliable connection, particularly if I am close by. So unless you're shooting in a huge area, right, I would recommend try setting it to that if you're having trouble getting these two to talk. And with that, the lesson is now complete. I do have some homework for you, and it's a real simple assignment, just one thing. What you need to do is set up your flash to work with your wireless remote trigger. You should be able to fire it off from the camera and have the flash go off by following the steps that I showed you. If you have a TT350 flash or an X Pro F wireless trigger, the setup is pretty much the same thing. Set the wireless ID, the group letter, right, and the channel. Those three things should be the same on each one of these. There are also many other tutorials on YouTube that you can check out that could kind of drill down in to the specific flash model that you're using. Either way, your goal, again, is to get the flash off the camera and to be able to successfully fire it from the camera. And as an extra bonus assignment, go ahead and take a few shots and make sure that when you adjust the power on the remote trigger, that it is reflected on the flash. And something to remember about that, sometimes you will not see the flash power update on the back of the flash, but you will see it on the wireless trigger. So for example, let's say you set your power, your flash power, on the wireless trigger to 1/4 power. However, on the flash, it might still show full power or half power. What I've found in those cases is that the menu has simply not updated. However, the flash will definitely fire with whatever power setting is on the wireless trigger, so don't get caught up too much in worrying about what it says on here. Pretend almost that you don't even see this, because you might not. This thing might be way up high or mounted somewhere. What matters is what you see here, how this is adjusted, and how it communicates reliably to the flash. This is one of the more important, but probably more tedious of the lessons that I will go through with flash, but it's very, very important that you know how to have these two connect. So let's see what you can do on your own with the homework and getting these two to talk, and I will catch you in the next lesson. Good luck with this. Don't get too frustrated, and I'm sure you're going to do great. Well, anyhow, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you found this video helpful or at least entertaining. And if you did, be sure to give it the like and subscribe. I'm going to be signing off now, but have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you in a new video next week. Take care.